sure that people are safe.
Yes.
The agency, that's what it is responsible for. Yeah.
The fire department, the emergency services would do. There was no declined area for people to walk to the bars, to walk to the washroom. There was no defined area where people know that's the way they have to pass. It was step over babies, step over people, push them here, ask them for excuse. That is not the way you organize a mass crowd event like that. You know, and even, I can tell you, from the start, you have people lining up outside, waiting for we don't have no respect for timing. You say the park will open at 1 o'clock, and people have to be standing up on the road waiting for them to sound check, and a whole set of happy show. Now, I have been to international shows. I'm speaking from experience, and I'm giving you that. At these shows, you have international artists performing, and there's no security to even look at the people. I went to a show in Miami, and the stage is lined with security officers at the front of the stage, at the height of the crowd. And those officers didn't even look back once to see who was on stage. They keep an eye on the crowd for anybody who could throw an article on an item against the artist. And I don't know what kind of assurance they give these people. But it bothered me that it got dark, of course. The event goes on to almost midnight. And you couldn't see no way to walk. There's things today in this world, like solar lamps, that can be positioned in walkways so that people know where to pass. Imagine you have to go to the washroom or go to the bar. You have to find tracks through people like you don't know where to pass. This is a danger, Timothy, and I want to air my voice today. I hope it never happens. I hope it never happens. But you cannot have thousands of people. I would like to figure out that there were more than 10,000 people there last night because the park was filled. But you cannot have people walking and there's no defined area for people to walk through the crowds. It is so untidy. It is so unprofessional. And this is what NEMO, the fire department, the security services should be telling the organizers. That should be planned long before the event takes place. And it used to happen years ago. It used to happen. There was a roped-off area for people know they have to go to the closest path to move from here to there. Why? No. And they will boast and brag. It's the best event ever. It's the biggest event ever when you hear the reports come in. But one thing can happen that can make the country lose a lot of respect. And not only that, we don't have a system here for suing people, but somebody is going to get sued for having an event like that and don't have the appropriate lighting. Another thing, I would recommend that there are temporary poles made. Poles, when I said not poles to find out how many people there, lamp poles with solar lamps that can be on so that people can know where they are. The only lighting that you could determine last night was the lighting reflected from the stage. You could only see one exit sign from the center, from the crowd. It was well large and nice, but you cannot have everybody go into one sign. These are disaster preparedness measures that you have to take. I didn't see any sign saying police. I didn't see any sign saying security. So these are things that I want to bring out. Not because I'm a UWP or I'm a Labour. I want to bring it out because I have been to other places and see organization and see how these mass events can be well organized. And we have people now that will tell you they have the experience because the Jazz Festival is 30 years old. But where are those basic things that are important if there's a disaster? So I'm bringing this out today. I don't know if I'll be alive to see the next jazz festival, but God forbid, if anything happens, I hope that these measures are in place. Not only from the point of view of the artist, but for the average person who brings their little child, encourages the elderly people to enjoy Mother's Day. I hope that they take this comment I'm making serious. Thank you, Timothy.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. You know, when you expect that people will make progress as opposed to regressing, and you realize that, you know, what is at the heart of such problems? When we have been hosting this particular event, the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival, for about 33 years, and commendably so, there's been a number of measures put in place, coordinated by, let's say, your Ministry of Tourism. You also have the various stakeholders involved. You have NEMO, you have the St. Lucia Fire Service, Royal St. Lucia Police Force, etc., etc. And we have the experience of seeing stampedes. You know, you have large gatherings at various events and stage collapsing and people being injured, etc., etc. For us to be going through this in 2025, it says that certainly we are not making the kind of progress that is required so that we could host events of that nature and deal with any problems that would emerge, man-made in particular. We have another call via WhatsApp. Hello, good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin, you're on the air. Hello.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Hi, good afternoon to you, caller.
Yes, Tim, just to second what the comments that the last caller voice with regards to just being like a whole melange people, moon and, you know, no clear pathway to be able to walk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I came there with, I had two people from Martinique, and they came there, although not elderly, but older. So we had two chairs set up for them. And we had the people well close together. The arms of the chairs literally overlapping. But it was already dark. And a couple of guys are coming through. They passed through us, through myself and my girlfriend. And the guy's ready to step over. I don't know if he wasn't looking or whatever, ready to step over the chairs between the people. You know, so I'm holding the guy to pull him back because I don't know if he didn't see or what.
Yeah.
Tell him, you know, he can't pass there. The man ready to fight for me already, you know. You know? So that aspect of it needed a little more, better organizing. You know that's the seeking area. And even later on now, another guy is passing there. He then have his rum in his head, and he's like, oh, how people feel they can have chairs. You know, he's a show that day, how people feel they can have chairs there. You know, and he's just pushing his way through.
Yeah, but you have to cater for the elderly, you have to cater for the disabled as well.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because people come there to enjoy the whole show, and then at suddenly people can stand up from 1 o'clock in the afternoon till, you know, so.
Well,
so
we are at the post-mortem stage, and I'm sure that the organizers are listening, and they'll take all this into consideration.
But like you said, they used to have the rope-off areas, but they stopped it, you know. And another thing, while this is the largest attended, I think it's the largest freeness. I think that was the largest freeness because the amount of complimentary and the amount of tickets, the people I see that had no business with tickets, selling tickets, that's just making you ask a whole set of questions. Because the sculptors were out there in full force. And I just wonder how that working. You ever give it any thought, Tim?
So I'll reserve comment on that because I'm not armed with the facts. When people are talking about people getting free tickets and so on, I'm not armed with that. Okay, I'm just hearing like so I'm just hearing.
Nobody was able to trust the veracity of the claim that they said, hey, I got a free ticket.
Call, I heard a couple people told me that they got free tickets, but I don't think that I could assume because a couple people have gotten free tickets that thousands or dozens or hundreds got free tickets. I don't know.
I only heard of a few that actually bought tickets.
Okay.
That's how imbalanced it was.
Mm-hmm.
I just heard of a few people. In all the people I've encountered, a few bought tickets. So that in itself.
Let's hope there'll be a press conference and we'll hear from the relevant authorities on that particular issue, sir.
All right, Jim.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. WhatsApp message. Somebody says there, where were the local media at the jazz? The presence was minimal compared to the foreign media. I heard the local media boycotted jazz because of the disrespect by the events company of St. Lucia. I have been hearing a few complaints from some media workers, some journalists and reporters who have been covering the St. Lucia Jazz Festival over several years. Again, if you care to, as somebody who might have been impacted, you can call the broadcast. We hope we could hear from the organizers as well. Because I remember several years ago, decades ago, whilst covering the event, one of our concerns was always the disparity in the treatment of local media personnel compared to the treatment that our colleagues from the foreign press or the foreign media would be receiving. So it is very strange if that is still happening right now. Charity begins at home. You rely on the local media on a consistent basis. You have supposed to have good relations with them, because the foreign press, those reporters and journalists coming from overseas, as is the reality, they are just passing through. This is the most monitored talk show in the world. It is called NewsSpin. Still to come, more of your calls and your WhatsApp messages. We'll be hearing from a particular prime minister who went to the U.S. just recently, Washington, I think last week, to meet with the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. And I'm hearing, according to that particular prime minister, one of the issues discussed, Citizen by Investment Program.
You know that feeling when you have an uncontrollable desire for fried chicken? That's the KFC. A substance that stimulates your senses to identify the aroma of a secret recipe or an extra crispy crunch from any distance. It's invisible to the naked eye, but you can feel it traveling throughout your body, taking control. All so you can enjoy a juicy bite of KFC. Ignite your senses with KFC.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbuta at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Lucelec wishes to advise customers and the public that its customer service offices at the Carolec building in Sans Souci and VA4 are temporarily closed to facilitate urgent maintenance. The Lucelec Cantonment office in VA4 is now open on a limited basis, offering all services except payments. The Rodney Bay office remains open to serve customers. Customers who wish to make payments during this closure are encouraged to access the My Account service at myaccount.lucelec.com. Sure Pays online and walk-in service options or participating financial institutions. Payments made via Sure Pay and My Account Direct on weekdays from 8 to 4 p.m. will be processed to customer accounts the same day. Payments made after 4 p.m. will be processed the next business day. For account balances, please dial the automated account inquiry service line at 457-4433. Customers can access other Lucelec services by using the virtual service desk at www.lucelec.com. The management of Lucelec deeply regrets any inconvenience caused by these closures and thanks its valued customers for their patience and understanding.
It's the Tile Thursday specials. The sale you've been waiting for is finally here, happening this Thursday at the Tile Gallery. Whether you're renovating your kitchen, bathroom, or updating your entire home, don't miss out on the chance to save big on high-quality tiles that will elevate any space. Mark your calendars for Tile Thursday specials, the last Thursday of every month. You can save up to 50% off on selected tiles. Located at M&C Home Depot in Sunville. Hurry in! These amazing deals are in-store only, and supplies are limited, so be sure to grab yours while you can. Remember, Tile Thursday only happens once a month, so don't miss out. Visit the Tile Gallery this Thursday. See in-store for details.
different, and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay. Flow is keeping you connected.
They say that getting an MRI abroad is more affordable. But once you add the ferry, travel insurance, hotel, meals, ground transport, and the cost to translate your report when you return, it quickly becomes more expensive and far more stressful. And what if the machine is down or your appointment is cancelled upon arrival? Right here in St. Lucia, you have immediate access to La Clinique de Corps, the MRI Center of Reference in the Caribbean, offering 1.5 Tesla MRI technology powered by artificial intelligence for exceptional diagnostic accuracy where no detail is missed and your health receives the precision that it deserves. Take charge today because your health can't wait. La Clinique de Corps, trusted, local, world class.
Don't tell me that tire flat again. I just changed that tire.
Wait, what? You just changed that tire?
Well, I bought a used one because you didn't give me enough money.
Oh, I see. Well, you know what? Chivi's Tire Shop only carry brand new quality tires at affordable prices with free installation.
Hey, it seems you're working at Chivi's Tire Shop. How you know all that?
Come on, Brenda. The tire shop down the road from our home in the American Drywall Building.
Oh, yes. I forgot. Well, you know what, Patrick? Let's go there right now. Take your wallet. Let's go.
Chivi's Tire Shop, located at the American Drywall Building, Vic Butay. Call or WhatsApp 584-5986. Chivi's Tire Shop. Pay less, drive more.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
This is the world's most monitored talk show, NewsSpin, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Earlier on, I was saying that I am not aware who the NEMO director is, and somebody actually sent me a photograph of the lady, and her name is Kenisha Jeffrey Isenberg, director of the National Emergency Management Organization. In a moment, we'll be hearing from Amanda. She'll be going through some of the comments in the chat room, so stand by for that. In the meantime, let us take your calls once again at 452-2979. 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. We have a call. Good afternoon, NewsSpin, you're on the air.
Tim.
Yes, Rick Green. Good afternoon to you, sir.
I got a question for you. Why do you suppose there's any interest, there's all that interest in how many people got free tickets or whether there were free tickets given out? Why do you suppose?
I suppose because seemingly it's widespread, you know, that free tickets were given. A lot of free tickets were given. But as I told the caller, I don't have the evidence to prove that. But that's what I've been hearing, that a lot of free tickets were given.
Why shouldn't tickets be given randomly or freely? Why shouldn't it?
Well, this is an event that comes at a tremendous cost to the taxpayers of the country.
Stop there. Mm-hmm. When was correct me if I'm wrong, but when was it ever the jazz festival in its various incarnations, when was it ever other than a non-profit activity?
It has always been that way from the inception.
Thank you.
Because it was basically to market the island during the off season.
All right. Unless something has changed, the Jazz Festival is a non-profit activity.
It is.
Basically a carnival. Only with music. With different music.
I wouldn't say it is a carnival.
Well, the carnival, only from the point of view that carnival, I mean, people jump up. But they pay, don't they? That's another one.
To attend the various shows.
I don't want to throw it too far out. Don't we invest something like 3 or 4 million a year in carnival?
A lot more than 3 million. Because remember when during the reign of the United Workers' Party and Alan Shastin was the prime minister, not the prime minister, but tourism minister, I think he invested a lot of money in carnival.
Right. So,
but it's more than 3 million.
Can we speculate 5? It doesn't really matter the figure, actually. I'm just wanting to know that we put public taxpayers' money, the government invests taxpayers' money in carnival, right?
Yes, we do.
And nobody has ever said it's supposed to have any returns in terms of profit and like that.
But I don't think any real assessment has been made, but we do benefit tremendously from the carnival. No.
My dear
I know you did not, but I'm just telling you.
Okay.
It was
because
I'm just saying, Rick, in a sense, it's more nuanced than that. That we do benefit.
I'm an old guy, and you must stay with me and don't throw me off track. I go off track very easily. You know, that's what happens when you get to be an old guy. Okay, so I don't. As far as benefit,
the evidence does not prove that, Rick.
Yeah, but a lot of people will define benefits for you.
No, I'm saying the evidence does not show that you go off track. It does not show that.
Or maybe somebody just wants to keep me on track, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tim, words like benefit, very interesting words. No, we don't like to think in this country. My friend John Thomas, by the way, I think he thinks... just want to let you know you should watch his post very carefully. Very one-track minded, that guy. Okay, John Thomas, one of the people in your chat room, one of the big boys in your chat room. Tim, the word benefit, I mean, I would say it has different meanings to different people. I mean, I would think it would benefit people who want to let off some stress. I would say it would benefit people who get free liquor and a chance to jump in the street. I would say it benefits people who want to show off the body. I would say it benefits the band leaders, you call them?
Yes.
The bands and the parties and all, and benefits people who sell various items that they would not normally sell. I guess it benefits them, but that sounds to me like normal private sector activity, but it is not.
So then, Rick, it benefits the entire country.
Wait for me, please. So I would think that, when Jekyll Charles is open or the rum shops are open, do they benefit the entire country?
Jekyll Charles, you're talking about?
You don't have to answer that.
No. But of course it benefits the country.
I'll leave it on that one. I'll leave that one. Okay. I just wanted to say that the benefit, we have to look at not just benefit, but if it is a government thing, government funded, then we have to put a closer eye to it, no?
Yes.
Okay. But I have never heard an accounting for the 5 million or so we put into Carnival or whatever. I have never heard. I've never heard about the duty, if people are given duty-free breaks and all. I've never heard any of that. I've never heard anything about when guys go off to perform overseas. I've heard rumors that in most cases, or in many cases, their expenses are met by the government. Is that true?
In limited instances, Rick.
All right, okay, some of it then.
Yeah.
And then you have the millions with the jazz. And I'm figuring, well, if we don't have to account for those millions of dollars, There's never been an accounting. Then why not just have those feds without any kind of
government involvement?
Free. Just make those things free, because effectively they're free, Tim. As far as we know, they're free. Effectively, they're free. No, because if we don't know how much we're spending on it, we don't know how much we're getting out of it. We don't know what percentage of the hotels were jazz people. We don't have a rough idea how it affects the vendors. We have no idea. I'm not saying they're on figures, When we put those other countries, when governments are involved, they can give you a rough idea of how much the average, how much on average vendors make, how much on average, how many people on average fill the hotels, etc., etc. There's an accounting. There's some kind of respect shown the public purse, so that we can have at least a rough idea of whether, in fact, those things are more serve just 4 or 5 people, because that's another danger. Another danger in this no accounting thing is that well-placed people may be benefiting a hell of a lot more than we realize from jazz. Well-placed people may be benefiting a whole lot more than realize in Carnival. No?
Rick, the fact is, especially as far as Carnival is concerned, yes, we need more accounting. We need the authorities to come out and share the figures with us, the raw data. Yes, jazz as well. But I don't think we can say beyond the shadow of a doubt that the island is not benefiting from those events.
Tim, I would never ask you a question like that, shadow of a doubt, in St. Lucia or anywhere else. Certainly not St. Lucia. I wouldn't ask you that. I simply want to know, I simply want to know if the people give a damn that we invest something like $5 million sometimes, who knows, into an affair that, as far as is officially known, is a freeness, is a non-profit thing. Who is supposed to make a dollar out of jazz and so on? The vendors, who else?
You have security companies. You have
companies and so on.
You have the transportation sector.
We have no idea, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
The people who are supposed, you're speculating for me there. The people who are supposed to make money out of those festivals, we have no inkling that on average the God people did so and so, on average the vendors did so and so, on average the transportation people went so and so, on average hotels I think was increased by so and so. We haven't a clue, and nobody is demanding any kind of answer for any million or cent spent. So why can't we just accept this thing as a freeness, go jump, and that's it? And so I'm kind of curious why people would be interested in whether 1,000 free tickets were given out, as opposed to the whole damn thing being given out, as far as we know, because there's no accounting whatsoever for any of those things, Tim. Nothing. There's not even discussion except to say, oh, we had a great time. Everybody had a great time, and everything's good. All of a sudden, everybody's a major manager of such items, such activities, and so on and so on and so on. We don't know. We know nothing. Nothing. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm open.
I think you're correct, Rick. As far as accounting is concerned, there's need for more accounting, more transparency on the part of the authorities, because that's taxpayers' money.
You're saying, Tim, you are saying there is need for more. As far as I'm concerned, and I may be wrong, correct me, there's no accounting. I've never heard any discussion going on in the House about how much was invested. I've never even heard how. Don't you think if it's our money, we should be discussing in the House how much we can afford to put into this? Because you have a lot of the poorest of the poor who don't get anything out of jazz, you know. We had the hospital and all those places who need money and need beds and all kind of stuff. So don't you think if we're going to put out $5 million, $6 million of taxpayers' money into any public activity, that we should be discussing the amount we can afford in the House?
Yes, we ought to do that.
And afterwards, shouldn't they come back and say, well, from the tickets, we printed so many thousand tickets, and so many were sold, and so many were complimentary, and the ticket money will go toward this or they go toward that. You know, that is what how normal stuff is conducted. Am I right or wrong?
You are correct, Rick. You are absolutely correct on that particular issue.
So it looks like a whole pappy show. A whole pappy show. When you consider, Tim, I have the whole history. You know the bullshit going on about who started what, when, and who sued what. I have all the details of that thing. I covered every inch of it. I was in my heyday at the time, covering those kind of stories. I even had private stories with the people involved, like Paxton. You remember Paxton?
Yes, I remember. From
yeah,
BT.
All these people, Lancico. There's actually a video or a press conference where Lancico was saying effectively, I want to be careful, that this whole, and remember what the idea was. The idea was that we would put on this festival that would be covered by BET. And BET was a black station that would transmit to places we don't normally reach with our own advertising. Remember that?
Yes.
That's why it started up so it was helping bring people into the country at a time when the hotels were empty and all that. And then in 1996, Lancico said it had served its purpose because BET was no longer there, number one. Was no longer there. And the thing took various incarnations. But never have we had any kind of report as to whether this is a good idea, whether it is doing what we're supposed to be doing, whether the majority of people who come in as a result of that help tourism, or whether the majority of people who actually show up are locals who don't necessarily spend the kind of millions we think they do. I don't know. I'm guessing there, and all that can happen is for somebody to educate me. Yeah, but there's a lack of accountability. It's like we sticking shafts up our own rear ends, Tim. Thank you very much.
All right,
I hope that is food for thought.
All right, thank you so much. And here's hoping that certainly will spur the authorities to provide us with the requisite information or the information that Rick is requesting, such as how much money would have been invested in the hosting of the St. Lucia Jazz Festival, and how much we made in terms of ticket sales, in terms of the number of free passes that were given to the folks around St. Lucia and the various constituencies and so on. So whenever you're using the finances of the state, taxpayers' money, there must be some level of accountability. Good afternoon to you, Amanda. Let's find out what's happening in the chat room. Early on, we had some technical issues with regard to us being not on Facebook and YouTube, but I think we have been back for over the last few minutes.
Good afternoon, Tim. Good afternoon, NewsSpinners. A few comments from earlier in the chat room, Tim. Someone says here, yes, it's like enough is enough and nothing is being done, so as a parent, I would step in. Another comment reads, Tim, I'm glad you made mention of bullying in the house because I was listening to a talk show today and both the host and co-host spoke about bullying everywhere in St. Lucia, but not one spoke about it in the house, as if it doesn't exist there. I know this is done based on their political biases, but it's wrong. When something is wrong, you call it out, and it doesn't matter who's involved, you call it out. That's why St. Lucia is the way it is, because we choose to speak. We choose what to speak on or bring to light. A NewsSpinner says here, nothing new here. This was the same behavior during the COVID restrictions, and they were expunged. Another comment reads, if shots were fired, you would hear them complaining. Now will crime ever stop? Someone says they're agreed, but we should be responsible citizens by just doing the right thing. We often blame the police, but we ought to blame ourselves at times. Another comment reads, Team, I agree with this call. Our politicians are never in the best interests of the country. A NewsSpinner says there, Team, there's a deafening silence going on in St. Lucia right now that's very detrimental to our democracy. The government passed a budget a couple of weeks ago and not one person spoke about it based on the pros and cons of the budget, not even the experts. The media is silent, the experts are silent, civil society is silent, and the list goes on. As if everything is perfect on the island or everyone is too scared to speak based on the bullying practices of this administration. If it's not on social by the goons, then it's on the talk shows by more goons, the television shows by even more goons. What's really going on in this country? This is how we as a people have become. We always knew that St. Lucians are docile, but but this level of living scared is totally threatening. What have we become? Another comment reads, Jazz and Arts Festival is not an SLP or UWP thing, it's for everyone. Someone says there, despite being a non-profit activity, can we compare the expenditures, returns over the past few years or decades? Another commentary reads, so no figures are collected, reviewed, and opportunities for improvement discussed. And someone here says, once Hila is involved, there will be no accounting. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much, Amanda. We have a few updates coming up with regard to your comments in the chat room. This will be done by Amanda King. Let us hear now from police officer and formerly of the Community Relations Branch of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, Mr. Zachary Hippolyte, on his Facebook page dated May 7th, reacting to that incident involving a parent responding to allegations that her son was being bullied by another student at a city or Castries secondary school. His reaction on this.
I used to be in charge of the Community Relations Branch of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. And whether it be via the media, different forums, meetings, etc., with school authorities, with parents in communities, I am one of those that condemn bullying. I condemn bullying. Lord knows how much I condemn bullying. I was bullied myself when I was in school. And I remember calling for a policy, a school policy, a government policy on bullying. The record is there to show that. So I say this to make people understand that I understand the plight of the victim and the parents of victims. And there are those in society that I have assisted, where my former department, we did interventions at schools when it comes to bullying. So I don't condone bullying. However, when did we as a society reach to the point where we are glorifying that two wrongs make a right? Since when? And sometimes I wonder, if it were a police officer who allegedly committed that act, I'm using my words carefully, allegedly committed that act, would we have so much people supporting that police officer, though police officers are human beings and they are parents? I can never support such action. I can never support such action. It's almost as if we are saying it is okay for me to shoot an individual in the leg because they gave me a slap across my face. Cannot be. The alleged action of the alleged parent, I can never support. And mind you, this matter is being investigated. There's not much I could say in terms of the actual details. But allegedly, information reaching me is that the the authorities of the particular school never received, allegedly, never received any report from that particular parent or even from the student that they were being bullied. So, it cannot be right, folks. And those of us who are supporting the behavior of the parent, if it comes to the point where charges are going to be laid, are we going to support that parent in paying her bail? Are we going to do that? Are we going to leave our work and support that parent in paying her bail? And what if she's convicted and she gets a criminal record? What happens to her? Are we going to support her if she now loses her job, whatever job she has? Or if she saw, because I don't know nothing about the alleged parent. I don't know nothing about the parent. But all I could tell you is her action amounts to a criminal act. And whilst we are on social media and in other places supporting her actions, have we, because I know some of us say it in anger, we have children who have been bullied, we have been bullied ourselves, so I understand your frustration. But when the dust settles and this parent probably has to go to court, probably only surrounded by her family, not you, not me, are you going to be there with that parent? Is it really worth it in the end? And if nothing is done, are we sending a signal to other parents that it's okay to enter a school, brandish a firearm? Are we soon now to see what happens in bigger jurisdictions, like we see sometimes in the US, where students and school authorities, staff are being killed? People, I thought it necessary to do this video, to lend my face and my voice to it, me being an advocate for the youth and for community development, etc., and being a police officer. I cannot condone such action, no matter how frustrating it was for the parent at the time. And I know some of you will disagree with me, but guess what? The consequences of her actions, was it worth it in the end? That's all I'm saying. And only that parent will have to answer that and go for that herself. Only that parent. You now have children who are traumatized at a school. You have a school system that is traumatized. If the parent goes to jail or gets a conviction, that parent and that parent's child now is now traumatized, because now mommy might go to jail, or mommy might have to pay a fine, or mommy will have a criminal record. Now, when you have a criminal record, people, it's a problem. So, folks, I understand. I'm telling you, I understand. I have seen it. I have lived it. I have sat in the meetings concerning it. I have spoken about it, about the scourge of bullying, especially now in our age of technology, where our young children are mimicking what they're seeing on social media platforms. I understand that, but there is no way we as a society can support the action of that frustrated parent. I'm sorry, because the action is one of a very serious nature. And when we are no longer, when we have moved on to the next happening, the next occurrence, that parent will be left to still deal with the consequences of their actions. Cannot support that. We need to do better, people. We need to do better. And I'm still calling once again for a national policy on bullying, where all schools will be on the same mindset when it comes to dealing with reports made by students, etc. When the report being made, the action in that report constitutes what bullying is. We need to define it on what actions we could consider that to be bullying and the steps taken to remedy it, whether it be counseling, psychosocial interventions, law enforcement intervention, whatever the case may be.
You just stood there and saw Mr. Zachary Hippolyte, former head of the community relations branch of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. I think he's an inspector right now. He spoke like a true police officer, like he should, talking about ensuring that you do not break the law. But the inspector must also understand, and towards the end he said there is need for a national policy, and he said, I'm calling again for a national policy on bullying, which is to indicate that he has been making such a call over several years now. And I've interviewed him on this whole bullying issue on a number of occasions. He has appeared on Newsmaker Live to address that particular matter. That's a clear indication, Inspector Hippolyte, that the authorities have ignored that problem for far too long. And you said that you cannot speak with regard to the specifics of that latest incident which occurred last week. Yet still, you are putting out there certain information that would be, I guess, crucial in terms of the investigation and has not been corroborated as far as the public is concerned. So let us not pass judgment. Let us not deem the lady in question to be guilty long before the investigation has been completed. And for too long now, parents have been complaining. Children have been complaining to their teachers, to the various principals. And as you indicated again, the authorities have not seen the necessity to put clear guidelines in place, a policy on a problem that is widespread and that is definitely a scourge. You can also recall that the Minister of Education a couple of years ago made a key appointment. Former Police Commissioner Mr. Osbert Regis was tasked with the responsibility to undertake a comprehensive security audit of our schools. He completed the assignment and a report was forwarded to the Ministry of Education. I think it was conducted over a 6-month period. What has happened to that report, its contents, and whether any of the recommendations have been implemented? Because, the easiest thing we can do is to conduct an audit, conduct a study, pay some kind of consultant, thousands of dollars, I imagine some instances close to millions of dollars, and nothing would come out of those exercises. I don't know, but I suspect several months from now we'll still be speaking about an incident pertaining to bullying at one of our schools, and we'll still be without a national policy on the issue. 452-2979, 452-2979, your WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026, 716-2026. Somebody says they're via WhatsApp. Am I to believe, according to you and Rick, that in 2025 there is no accounting by government to millions of taxpayers' dollars spent in jazz? Is that Senusha's style of accounting? Collect, spend freely, and what's left is just left? Isn't that the perfect recipe for mismanagement and corruption? Let's see if we have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Amanda, how are you?
Good afternoon, caller. I'm fine, thank you.
I've known Zachary for over 30 years. I knew his parents, and he's a guy I like a lot. But I never believed that one day I'd live to disagree with Zachary. Zachary is a professional at what he does. I was somebody who said that he would not divulge much because the case is before the court.
Mm-hmm.
I noted that he used the word alleged 7 times.
Yeah.
Or he never used the word alleged where the perpetrator is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
He never said allegedly committed such an act. And he never said that the lady in question, there should be some mental assessment or some mental analysis as to her mental condition. Now, professional, I believe that's what the lady should go through. A mental evaluation before she is processed and charged. And that's what I'm saying, Tim?
Yes, sir.
If she is guilty, then she'll face the full force of the law. We do not know the lady's background. In fact, we don't even know. The person's name has not been made public. Through the grapevine, we got to know what school it was, that the act was allegedly committed. But he has tilted the scale against the lady by saying so much. If the case is supposed to go before a judge and jury, and a jury of the lady's peers heard this commentary by Zachary today, knowing that Zach is a professional, they would have made up their minds, Tim.
Because he has already taken a position on this,
Well, that is it.
Yeah.
That is it. So I don't think it's fair to the perpetrator. I'm not going to condone her actions. If she is guilty, let the chips fall where they may. But that commentary, I totally disagree with him, where the alleged perpetrator is concerned. As for the bullying aspect, I agree with him totally. Zachary has been doing that for years. But I think it's unfair to the young lady that Zachary should have come out with such a commentary. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Let me see if I have any of your WhatsApp messages to go through. Somebody says there, all what Mr. Pillett sounds right, but although Mr. Pillett sounds right, what I am wondering is if he is aware of the number of times she probably went to the school, the police, and those in authority. Removing the child from the school may not have been an option. Let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. Somebody says there, Tim, having a policy for bullying is all good, but you need trained and skilled personnel to implement these policies, or else it remains on paper. And we have another WhatsApp message. Somebody says there, St. Mary's College has taken this head on for years. SMC had certain traditions which would allow bullying, but now it has been stopped completely. Zero tolerance. We have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon. NewsSpin, you are on the air.
Yeah, Tim. Good day, Tim.
Yes,
How are you doing?
Yes, sir. I'm okay. Good afternoon to you.
All right, Tim. I just want to comment. I've heard Mr. Zachary. I support most of what you have said, just like the other caller just mentioned. However, I just want to speak on the obstruction of the police when conducting an arrest, as shown in a video I saw there.
Yeah.
Tim, this has been going on for too long.
Yeah.
And I believe that the police commissioner or the trainers the trainers in the police force, because we do have the special services unit. They are trainers. They have done trainer courses where they pass on that knowledge to the local police. Tim, when you're operating in a tight area, in a hostile area, you must have a perimeter. That is basic. That's the first thing you have to do when planning to have an arrest. Set your eyes outwards. Look around you and see who's there, who's the enemy. Tim, we have been seeing that for too long. We see it in Castries, we see it in Babono, we see it all over the island. So I'm not surprised when I saw it in that clip. And it goes back to training, Tim. How well our officers are trained and where they got the training and how often they practice what they're training, what they learn. This should not be happening because an officer can get stabbed, he can get shot, or property can be damaged. Tim, I saw on 2 occasions that police vehicle was in motion and the doors are open, you know.
Yes.
So how can a civilian be opening the door of a police vehicle to extract their friend who has been arrested? And you have more than one police officer in the vehicle? There must be an extraction procedure. Not all policemen are in the vehicle at the same time. You secure the arrested person and the vehicle has to be moving, and even though one policeman stays down while the vehicle is moving away from the mob until it is safe for the police officer, the last police officer, to board the vehicle. That's basic 101 policing, you know. That's something you learn on the first day of training school. And we cannot even practice it years after we leave training school. So I'm calling on the Commissioner of Police. I'm sure the Commissioner's seen those clips. He was there before, he's back. Let us see an improvement in that. If you don't have the trainers, get the people who have left to train. I ain't looking for a job again, nothing. I'm just saying, in the interest of things going the way it ought to go, let us bring the people who know what to do what has to be done. Okay, Tim?
All right, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for calling. Appreciate that contribution. A former police officer, of course, now retired. Let's see if we have a WhatsApp message. Somebody says there via WhatsApp. This extreme behavior, no example for the children. Parents must be peacemakers. If no justice from the school, get the police involved. And let's see there. Another WhatsApp message. Zachary needs to advise the members of parliament to lead by example. People now feel emboldened based on the behaviors of these MPs, both in and out of parliament. And another person says there via WhatsApp, what about the long-standing allegations of sexual bullying of female police officers? Not a word, not a word, not a word from Officer Hippolyte. Let's see, I think we have a call. Good afternoon, NewsSpin, you on the air?
Good afternoon, Jim.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
We live in the age of instant. Everything is now for now. So that's why our police in that state. Before we had a training school. So right now, I think what they have is training programs.
No, we have the training school. We have the training school at Latok, yes.
Yeah, in name. That's what I know before the police used to be going up there and train. I think that course was maybe, at least 4 months.
No. I think, you still have the course taking place over a 6-month period, caller. Yes, for the new recruits.
For the new recruits?
Yes, at least 6 months.
Still go up there and slip up there on the compound?
Yes. I'm aware of that. Yes, they do.
Well, I understand the impression that something very different was happening. You know, I thought it was an instant thing online, the way they behave in there. So it's online training, the police will do it.
Because
the evidence speaks very differently. You understand? because I cannot see how that happening. I mean, like the previous caller saying, you have to have a procedure for when you're going to arrest somebody. Because I always felt that to be ridiculous. The way these people allow mobs to congregate around them, and the police cannot even see what's going on at his back. You know, even to the point where you're going to arrest somebody, and maybe 2 or 3 officers go to arrest somebody, and even in the spur of the moment, you know, maybe you're on patrol, 2 or 3 of you are on patrol, and you'll end up in that kind of situation. But then again, it's what we're working in, because from what I heard at the time at Central, they only had 3 officers in the whole building. You know, it was a night time, I think, over the weekend. You have like 3 officers who called in sick, who didn't show up, and you know that kind of situation we're working in. So I guess all of that is just being exposed.
All right, caller.
Yeah, I'll get it.
All right, thank you so much. Let us end now from the Prime Minister of Dominica, Mr. Roosevelt Skerritt. He and our Prime Minister, among the other OECS heads, visited Washington last week and met with the Secretary of State, Mr. Marco Rubio. According to Mr. Skerritt, speaking in a press conference over the weekend in Dominica, one of the issues raised, the Citizenship by Investment program.
We raised it, and we simply drew to his attention that this is a program that is above board, that we received the support of the United States intelligence apparatus through the JRCC in vetting each applicant. And of course, through that database, the United States has access to the names of everybody who applies for citizenship within our OECS jurisdiction. And if there's anybody of interest by the FBI, once that name is put into the database system, into the intelligence environment with the United States framework, then that name will be picked up. And if after that there's an interest in anybody, then we're prepared to work with United States and any other entity in the world to facilitate the apprehension of anybody who would have gone afoul with the laws of any particular country. So it is we who raised it, and with an effort towards assuring them that we are running a very transparent program. And of course, we'll continue discussing with them. We have urged that they continue with the relationship we had with the Treasury Department, with the 6-point agreement, and of course the yearly peer review of our program. And we also updated them and updated the United States on what we're doing with regards to the regional approach with the regulator, independent regulator, and also new legislation that will come into effect that each member country that has a CBI program will subscribe to and respect.
Dominican Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt speaking about the meeting which OECS heads attended last week over in Washington with the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and one of the issues that was discussed, the CIP. Final update from you, Amanda. What's happening in the chat room?
A few comments from earlier. Tim, a newsspinner, says there most times Rick already has the answer. His contributions are usually thought-provoking, rhetorical questions most times. Another comment reads, on one hand, he wants the people to do something about the lack of accountability, but on the other hand, insinuating that the lack of transparency is not new to the current administration. A newsspinner says there, what? So police officers get training, especially on de-escalating a scenario, hopefully. Another comment reads, when you are frustrated, you'll do anything, especially when it comes to your child. Someone says there, how can this Labour government, who are searching for funds to develop the country by loans, tax, and at the same time just waste money on jazz? Like, what will happen after jazz? A 2.5% levy is continuing on our head? Another comment reads, I agree, Zachary. We cannot take the law in our hands, or else it would be chaos. A newsspinner says here, it's a bit of a long one. Let's be honest. When police officers allow themselves to be used as political tools for expediency or favor, it sets a dangerous precedent. Whether it's instructing lawbreakers how to circumvent the law, as Christopher Hunt admitted the police did during the illegal COVID protest, or leaking sensitive civilian information to politicians, as Richard Frederick has brazenly boasted, what messages are we sending to the public? That the law is bendable depending on who you are or who you support? Unfortunately, it's the right-minded and the duty-bound officers who often get caught in the crosshairs of the mess others create. When aspiring politicians can stand in church and threaten others with aggression and impunity, can we really act surprised when a grieving parent hurt over their bullied child momentarily loses control, even if the alleged perpetrator is just a child? Bullying is a silent epidemic. It scars, it isolates. And in the worst cases, it kills through suicide, trauma, and despair. I'm not standing on either side of the fence, but I am saying this. When those in power behave just as crass and get away with it, we lower the standard for everyone else. And eventually, the ordinary Joe or Jane on the street stop believing in justice, in law, and in consequence. We can't afford that, not now, not ever. Another comment reads, in my opinion, the first point of targeting bullying is the teacher. Second is the principal. If it gets out of hand, the police would be called in. Someone says here he fails to understand that people can show empathy without condoning the wrong actions. So the support he speaks of, he must understand why there is support and what that support is for. Another comment reads, we have a very long way to go because that thing did not start yesterday, as years gone by and nothing has been done. Well, horses have left the stables. And a commentary reads, the teachers are afraid of the children in the higher forms, especially the boys. The parents know their children are bullies at the schools. Meetings are called with them, and yet still nothing has changed. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much for that final update, Amanda. WhatsApp message Amanda says, I can tell you from my personal experience, there were free jazz tickets given to people, especially in my community. A young lady who works for a certain minister was given a handful of tickets to give away to friends and family. Let's turn our attention now to our NewsSpin question of the day. The NewsSpin question of the day on this International Nurses Day. What do you think about the quality of nursing in St. Lucia? On this International Nurses Day, what do you think about the quality of nursing in St. Lucia? And finally, the NewsSpin news of the day reads, China-US agreed to drop tariffs by 115% for 90 days. China-US agreed to drop tariffs by 115% for 90 days. The NewsSpin news of the day, and that's the broadcast as well. Thank you so much for watching and listening to another edition of the world's most monitored talk show. My name is Timothy Poleon. Goodbye.